Well, welcome to Stateside Street, a podcast where two Americans discuss all things Coronation Street. My name is Shanika. Millie is off this week again, so I'll be here to recap and review episodes from March the 9th through March the 13th. This week for me was actually pretty good. I think it set up the conflict between Ben and Steve really well, and it really moved the Todd and Theo storyline a bit further than the past few weeks did. So I'm actually really excited to see where that goes. There's also some bits and pieces of the whodunnit sprinkled in, so that was really cool. Yeah, for me, it's 3 out of 5. Pretty cool week. I took to Twitter and asked you all what you all thought about it. And the general consensus was actually that it was a great week. One person said that last night and tonight, so I'm assuming Thursday and Friday night. Friday night's episodes were great. A good mix of the more dramatic stuff and also some comedic elements. And I absolutely agree. I think they balanced it. Corey really balanced it pretty well this week between the really hard-hitting dramatic stuff, the somber things like Jim's funeral, the whole Megan thing, Todd and Theo, but it also had some good comedic moments as well. So I think it was a pretty good balance. Some of you also said that the Jodie and the Adam David the dog feud, it's dragging a bit. And yeah, I definitely get that. I definitely agree. On one hand, it's kind of nice to just have something that's just, I don't want to say mindless, but something that's not really high stakes, That being said, I definitely think that there were some moments hinting at something bigger with Jodie. I'll talk about it more when we talk about specifically Jodie and Adam's in the Platt storyline, but I do think that there were some moments that we sort of should pay attention to. There was a moment when Jodie said that someone might find the video and come after her, and I think this is the third time she alluded to this. And so I think, I don't know, they're sprinkling some breadcrumbs here and there, so definitely be on the lookout for that. I think that whoever she was running from or whoever Graham was working for, I think they will come after Jodie next month. I do not think that Jodie will be the victim of the whodunit. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I just think that when we saw the trailer or the episode that sort of launched into the whodunit, and we saw Jodie out of breath running away from somebody, I think that somebody, I think that's the person that she was actually running from, or hiding from, with the whole Graham thing and being locked in a van and things like that. So that's what I'm thinking. I don't think it has anything to do with the whodunit at all. I think they're setting it up Jodie can be the victim. There was a moment when Betsy was being interviewed by the police, and they had mentioned that Betsy said that she knew the victim. And we have seen Jodie and Betsy interact quite a few times since then. I think maybe 2 or 3 times. So I think they're setting up for us to think that Jodie will be the victim, or even just have a really high chance to be the victim, but I definitely don't see that happening. I think that her story is just beginning. I think there's a lot more story to tell with this character. I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on this. Speaking of Jodie, let's just talk about it. Let's go from there. Let's talk about the Platts and Jodie and Adam. So at the start of the week, Jodie and Adam, again, pretty much arguing over David the dog and his little presence as he's leaving everywhere. I joked about it a few times, I think the residents of Weatherfield are just going to be fed up, and they just want to just go after Jodie in the middle of the night. And that's it. That's the murder mystery. But yeah, Jodie is just being annoying, just being absolutely annoying, just rude and disrespectful throughout the whole community. And Adam is a bit fed up. Later on though, Lily is trying to get ready for school, and I think she needed something. I don't know if it's her kit. I think her PE kit or something like that. Shona was supposed to, wash it, get it together. Obviously, with everything going on with Harper, she missed it. And so Lily is feeling left out, right? She's not feeling like she's being paid attention to. And here goes Jodie coming up to her and she says something along the lines of they're not doing it on purpose, neglecting you. And it's just that little bit there, oh, she's not neglecting you on purpose. And it's well, Shona's not neglecting her at all, at all. She's just going through a lot of stuff. So obviously her mind is elsewhere. And that's not neglect, but Jodie is there to sort of sprinkle in the self-doubt, and making herself seem like, well, I'll never neglect you. I'll always be there for you. So she's kind of slithering her way into this family and slowly replacing Shona, just like she did in her previous places the families that she was with, I'm sure. I think she has a lot of potential to be a really, really interesting character. Really, really complex character, and I just can't wait till this storyline really ramps up. I don't think her end goal is to just be with David and live happily ever after. Again, I've said it before, but I don't think she actually wants David. I just think she wants the stability. She wants the security. And she said it before, like, she looks at David and Shauna and she sees safety, sees security. So I think that's what she wants, and I think that's what she tried to get before in the previous family she was with. Now, I'm not really sure how Graham fits into this over at Emmerdale, but I'm really excited to see what goes on and how that story plays out. And hope the payoff is worth it. I really do, because they've really set something up here. So we'll see how that goes. Later on in the week, David and Jodie pull a little prank on Adam, but he actually gets it on video. Caught in the act, he puts it on video and he puts it on a community page. And this is what I was talking about previously. She's really worried because she doesn't want people to know where she's at. So I am really excited to see, what happens with that. Elsewhere, Alia is apparently being blackmailed by Rich. And honestly, I'll be real with you. I don't mind it. I mean, I don't think Ollie is in the right here at all. So, but I don't know. The storyline, it is what it is. It's a hit or miss. But personally, I'm just happy that she's actually getting a storyline because I think she's like the character is highly underutilized. So I'm really just happy that she has a storyline to sort of get into. I do wonder what she's going to do. How is she going to play her hand? Or is she going to just keep that secret a bit close to her? Speaking of secrets, though, the big storyline here is Maggie's secret. We finally found out her secret. I mean, obviously, I think some of us pretty much knew, but we can officially say, for the most part, that Ben and Steve are half brothers. So let's talk about it. So in the beginning of the week, Steve is basically trying on his suit for the funeral. He's getting ready. Obviously, she's really down. He's dealing with his grief. He's dealing with regrets and things like that. And also the fact that maybe he's not ready to marry Cassie and he's avoiding her. And that really makes me sad because I really like them together. I do wonder if Cassie is going to die. We know that the actress is leaving. We know that Claire's leaving. We just don't know when. I don't think it's been released yet, like when her final date is or like how she's going to exit. I don't think that has been officially released. If so, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Feel free to fill me in, but I am kind of worried. There's been a lot of references, not a lot, a couple of references of like death and things like that surrounding Cassie and Tracy, but definitely surrounding Cassie. I really hope they don't do that, and I really hope they don't put Steve and Tracy back together because I kind of like them just, as exes, as friends. That's it. I really like Cassie and Steve. I just don't see how else she can leave, because I don't see her going back to like drugs and things like that. Like, I don't see that storyline happening, at least not like where she's at now. Like, if she didn't go back when Tyrone was hit and like pretty much paralyzed, like, then I don't think she's going to go back just with Steve breaking up with her, like it has to be something that's really devastating, for her to like relapse, I think. So I don't know. And I don't really see Steve breaking up with Cassie at all because they clearly like love each other, right? Like clearly. I just think he's a bit hesitant to actually get married again, which makes sense, but I can't see him actually breaking up with her. But who knows? I just don't want her to die. I would hope that they would leave the option open for Claire, Claire to come back if she wants to, But we'll see. I don't know. What do you guys think? How do you think she'll leave? Do you think Cassie is gonna die? Like, what do you guys think? So speaking of Cassie and Tracy, they bicker a bit. And I love their sort of like love-hate friendship or love-hate relationship. I really do enjoy that. And I'm going to miss it. I'm really going to miss it. It's really nice to kind of have them bickering and the little banter, especially when it comes to like Amy, because Tracy sometimes thinks that Cassie is trying to sort of take her place, right? When it comes to Amy. She's very insecure, that Tracy. She's very insecure sometimes. But it's still sort of nice to see when those two share the screen. When Kate and Claire share the screen, it is really nice to kind of see how they bounce off each other and how they work a scene. So it's just really cool to see. But speaking of Amy and Ollie, I didn't think they were actually going to even pursue this at all. They went out on a date when they were at the Rovers one time. It was actually an accident. Accidentally spilled beer on Amy's top, and Maggie just egging things on. Maggie is an interesting character. She cannot stand Lauren. Honestly, I want to say Lauren's been a bit snipey, a little bit rude and disrespectful. To be honest, I wasn't really feeling Lauren as of late. Maggie is basically trying to get Ollie and Lauren back together. And I don't think she's even trying to get Lauren and Ollie back together. She's just trying to get Ollie out of Amy's orbit because the fact that they're cousins. And Ollie went on a date. Their first date didn't really go that well. They went to the bistro to just sort of try to salvage something. It just didn't work out. And later on, Amy goes back to the Rovers and sees Ollie and Lauren share a kiss. And I actually like Ollie and Lauren. I think they make a good couple. I think Ollie is a really stand-up guy. So later on in the week, Maggie is cornered. She's cornered. She doesn't really know exactly what to do. She doesn't want her secret to be out. But after the funeral, after they come from Jim's funeral, they're at the Rovers. Steve, Tim, Ben, and a few of Jim's friends. And one of the guys recognizes Maggie. So she goes out to get some fresh air. The guy comes and completely sees right through her. And she's trying to just oh no, it's not me. You're mistaken. I'm not the woman that you're looking for. And he's like, no, I know exactly who you are. Jim talked about you. I wonder how you all feel about this revelation, that Jim stepped out and had another kid. What do you guys think about that? I think it's interesting. I think it's all right. I don't necessarily think they're retconning too much here. I think it's plausible, but I am curious, especially those who have watched Coronation Street for grew up with Coronation Street, because I've only started watching Corey in 2007, 2008, I think, around that time. And I've since watched a few of episodes of classic Corey, but I don't have the same viewpoint, obviously, as you all who have watched since the beginning or who have grown up with Corey. Later on in the week, Maggie goes to visit Steve to not so subtly talk about Jim and his condition, because obviously Ben is having some heart issues and she is right scared that something's going to happen to Ben. But she's not really subtle about it, is she? And she's asking Steve about these health questions. It's hereditary, it's this, it's that. Steve doesn't really seem suspicious, which I understand because, he just buried his father. He's going through a lot of stuff, a lot of stressful things. But yeah, I think the secret is definitely going to come out right now. Steve and Ben are not on good terms because of the whole Ollie, Lauren, and Amy thing, which, to be honest, I think it was kind of blown out of proportion. I mean, Amy and Ollie went on 1 or 2 dates and that's it. I mean, it's not like they were going steady, But again, Steve is stressed out, so he's going to react in a certain way. I definitely think they'll make up. I don't think this is going to really put a damper in their friendship. But I am curious what happened once the secret is out. I'm really curious. I want to know how far she's going to go, how far Maggie will go to keep her secret. So another big storyline is the Megan and Will storyline. We didn't really get much of Will this week, but we got some Megan scenes. Really, really good scenes. Shout out to Beth Nixon. Absolutely killed it. Smashed it. In the beginning of the week, the boy Sam, good Sam, he gets a bit sick because of the meds that he's taking that he really shouldn't be taking. So is sent home. Later on, Megan and Leanne make a date for a movie night. Leanne caught Megan talking on the phone with someone, and obviously it was Will, but Leanne assumed that it was Daniel, and she gets a bit caught in the act, right? But she plays it off, and Leanne goes up to Daniel later on and just apologizes, oh, I'm sorry, I kind of interrupted your little fun time on the phone. And Daniel's like, no, that wasn't me. You know, poor Daniel, right? He's always falling for like the craziest people, right? So Leanne is not really bothered by it. I mean, she shouldn't be. She stepped out a few times herself, you know. Leanne, Eva, and Toya sitting around just gossiping and giggling and everything, talking about Megan and her little person on the side. And it's really irritating when you think about it because that other person is Will. And Eva is going to find out about this and it's going to hit the fan. I'm really excited to see what happens and how things happen, you know, and how it leads up to the whodunit. There was a scene later on in the week, toward the end of the week, when Megan and Sam were talking. And I just got to say that Beth Nixon has been doing a phenomenal job with the material that she's being given for Megan. And Jude as well he's been standing on his own at such a young age. Like at such a young age, he's just standing on his own and really giving it a 100% in these scenes. And it's some really tough material, but he's just taking it on and really showing the audience that he can carry it. You know, he can carry it, he can act. And I'm really excited to see where he goes in his acting journey. Just absolutely brilliant. So shout out to both of them. Another storyline, a big storyline, is the Todd and Theo storyline. I found this really interesting. I'm actually, the past few weeks, I didn't particularly enjoy the Todd and Theo things, Theo storyline, just because it just didn't really go anywhere. It was like the same thing over and over again. But this storyline really pushed things a bit further. So this week really kicked off with Theo's birthday. Todd gives him a blender. This is really interesting. They're at the bistro celebrating. Well, Theo is at the bistro celebrating his birthday, waiting on Todd. Gary and Maria comes along and, they strike up a conversation. And Theo is basically saying oh, it's my birthday, Todd gave me a blender, right? And Maria says oh, that's nothing. This one, talking about Gary, gave me an iron for Christmas. And it's really interesting because we've had this before where Theo gets extremely upset when he thinks that he's being emasculated, right? When he feels emasculated, when he thinks that people look at him as the woman, right? Or as feminine, a feminine man, right? But here, he sort of keeps his composure, and it's really eerie. It's really eerie because you just know, once he gets along with Todd, it's just going to be absolutely horrible. Yeah, Theo just can't tolerate being viewed as weak or being viewed as feminine. And, he's very insecure about that. So after a while, Todd comes to the bistro, and he just have these, little microaggressions that Theo does towards Todd, just the belittling, but, belittling in a way that it can be viewed as just, just little fun little quips, that, you do with your partner, right? And that's what makes it so hard to sort of look at as abuse, right? Because you second guess yourself, oh, is this abuse? Or is it just he's just ragging on him, just being quippy, being a little funny, making a little joke, So, but during the dinner, Theo goes to call his kids, and his kids just shut him out completely. Didn't even remember his birthday, not giving him any presents, hanging up the phone on him. So that sort of triggers Theo, right? He's just not having it. So later on, when Todd can't pay for the food, obviously, because he doesn't have the money for it, he embarrasses Todd, just belittles him. And once they get home, they argue, and then Theo pulls out a letter on Todd, and Todd is just do it. He is absolutely sick of it. He's if this is the only way that I'm going to get out of this relationship, this abusive relationship, then do it. And it breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart to see Todd like that. Later on in the week, they get into another argument, and Theo goes and take it upon himself to seek out one of George's clients, one of the Freedom Homes clients, and he lies to her, and he drags the Undertaker shop through the mud. Right? He basically says George is, he's a hack. He is manipulative. He preys on vulnerable people, and he basically drives off business. Right? And later on, to make things much worse, Theo completely completely belittles Todd, and he ends up breaking up with him and making it seem like Todd is the problem. And even when he breaks up with Todd, he's still manipulating the situation by making it seem like Todd is the aggressor, right? That Todd is in the wrong. And he's tracking Todd, and he sees Todd and James go up to the flat, and he just freaks out. So we know what's going to happen, right? Theo is someone who he wants what he wants, and he's going to get it either way, right? He is an abusive man-child, you know. It's really sad to see. It's really sad to see. But I will say this week was really good and just like revving things up and pushing the storyline forward. So I really want to talk about the whodunit. I just want to sit back real quick and just talk about this. I absolutely love how they are setting things up. And I know some people might say that all the victims are sort of villains. And I would have to agree. I mean, I don't think Jodie is a villain at all. But yeah, like most of them are villains, 100%. But I've said this before, and I'm just going to say it one more time. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I don't think this whodunit is really about the victims, if that makes sense, right? I think it's good that the victims are like these vile, horrible human beings. Again, I don't think Jodie's a villain, but just in general, I think it's really cool that the fact that like we don't care if they die. We would not care if Theo or Carl, well, I kind of sort of like Carl, but people probably wouldn't care if like Theo died or Megan died. And I think it's about who actually kills them, right? It's a whodunit. And it also just raises like a lot of fascinating questions about justice, about revenge, about retribution, and about like how the murder will impact the suspect, right? For instance, like the secret is pretty much about to be out when it comes to Megan and Will. So let's just say Ben or even Maggie kills Megan, right? How is that going to impact the Driscolls? How is that going to impact that dynamic? Will Eva and Maggie grow closer? Because I think they will. You know, let's say Ben kills Megan. Oh, obviously Eva and Maggie is going to try to protect Ben at any cost. So maybe that is how they grow closer, and how Maggie will start to accept Eva as family, as one of her own. So we have that dynamic. Also, how does that impact Will? Right? So that's interesting. What if Summer, Charlotte had posted an article over at the Mirror about Summer. She did an interview with Harriet about her character and about the whodunit, and it was really interesting. Definitely read up on that. But it really got me thinking, how will that affect her, right? I think it would affect her mental health greatly. I'm also wondering, like, will someone actually take the fall? You know, because we don't want to see Summer in prison. Like, she doesn't belong in prison. But again, it goes back to the fact of, do you have the right to seek out your own justice? Because honestly, I don't think this murder is like a in the moment sort of thing. I think it's premeditated, and I think so based on what Bessie said during the interview, because she said no matter what you've done, you know, no one deserves to die like that. So obviously the secret is out, whether that is Megan's secret, Maggie's secret, Carl, or even Theo, right? The secret is definitely out. Because if not, then Betsy wouldn't have known, right? So if the secret is out within the few days, the secret comes out, Megan, Maggie, Theo, Carl, whoever, that will give the person 3 to 4 weeks to think about it, right? To really mull things over. I think it's either Megan, Theo, or Carl. I think the secret comes out. I think the police either, maybe their hands are tied, maybe Lisa and Kit's hands are tied, or Jess's hands are tied, and they can't really go, you know, get a conviction. Police just doesn't do anything. And I think somebody takes it upon their own self to lay down the law, so to speak. So I definitely think it's premeditated, and that adds a layer as well. I think it would be really cool if it was Summer, because, you know, she's lost so many people in her life, and she's literally just alone. And I do wonder if they will explore that isolation, that grief that she has, right? Especially afterwards, if she does end up being the suspect. So I'm actually really curious about this, and I hope that this whodunit really pays off, because I've said it before, but I didn't particularly like the Joel whodunit. I thought they could have had a little bit more twist in there, but I really hope this time the payoff is good. Yeah, but yeah, I'm not really particularly interested in who dies, but who kills the victim and how it will impact them. Yeah. And I kind of hope it's Summer just because I think Harriet is a really good actress, and I think she definitely needs something to sink her teeth into. And if this storyline does go down that route, I think this will definitely be the one. She'll definitely knock it out the park. So yeah, I'm interested in it. I love that Corey is setting things up. What do you all think about it? Are you feeling a whodunit? Do you think you know whodunit? Do you think you know is going to go? So here we are. Lots of secrets. Lots of secrets. It wasn't that much going on. It was just the main thing this week was Steve and Ben being half brothers, and also a little bit of Megan sprinkled in as well, and of course Jodie versus Adam. But it's been a good week. I think I definitely, for me, the highlight is just the little sprinkles they're putting in about the whodunit, with Betsy seeing Jodie again, with Jodie talking about someone's coming after her. She said it multiple times in the past, few weeks. Definitely wonder what you all think about it. Definitely comment below. I do, again, want to just give my praises to Beth Nixon and Jude Riordan, who are absolutely smashing it. Jude is definitely holding his own in these scenes, and it's really, really great to see. Again, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what's to come. If you are a fan of Neighbors, you might be interested in the upcoming episode of Pop Goes the Tam Tam podcast, where I drop in to discuss Sonia Rebecca, Toadie Rebecca, and briefly geek out about Kylie Minogue because I love Kylie Minogue and she was on Neighbors. So yeah, the episode drops in a few days, so definitely be on the lookout for that. So if you love Neighbors, Australian soap, definitely check it out. We have an interview with Mark Bayless, so definitely check that out in a few weeks. Really excited for that. I think he's a phenomenal actor. He really takes the material and makes it his own. He has a short film coming out that I hope to talk to him about soon. Thank you all so much for listening and supporting the podcast. We really appreciate it. And as always, definitely leave us a like, a comment, and an honest review because we love talking to you and we appreciate you. This has been Stateside Street, and you all have been absolutely fabulous. Take care and stay safe.